Hi, Dustin. Can you please introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Dustin DeVan. I am one of the co-founders of EDIPHI. We are a modern cloud estimating solution for pre-construction.
So tell me, what is EDIPHI trying to solve?
So there's a few problems that exist in pre-con today. First, estimating right now is done on desktop tools, which are very good if you are one estimator. But if you are a team of estimators or an entire organization of estimators, there's some serious drawback from that. So we want to bring estimating to the cloud. But we also want to help estimators tell their cost story. So that's every time they tell clients what a project could cost, that is part of a communication in your pre-con process. And so EDIPHI provides a way to track what cost you submit to a client across all the design milestones of your project and talk about why things vary over time, which the industry doesn't have anywhere today.
And also, isn't every estimator different? So they have their own ways of getting the cost, their own secret formulas?
Well, so every estimator is different, and how you estimate when you have a concept, so schematic designs, basis of designs, is different than when you have 100% CDs. And so you have to develop software that understands how you estimate when it's a concept or SDs versus how you estimate when they're 100% CDs. Primarily when it's 100% CDs, you're more focused on what are the quantities shown on the drawings because it's more plans and specs. When it's early in the design concept, you want to fill in the gaps. And so you make assumptions like, okay, without the details, we need to assume what's going to go into the rooms and units of this project. We need to make assumptions about the exterior skin. We need to make assumptions about the foundation systems, about the MEP systems. And so we help estimators make those assumptions, but also have them digestible within the estimate.
Why is estimating broken right now?
So I think estimating is broken for a few reasons. I think one of the reasons is venture capital has not put any money into pre-con, for the most part. There's been a whole lot more money that's put into project management software. And one of the reasons is project teams are very quick to adopt technology. They can just plug it into one project and give it a shot. So it's made getting those products to market easier. Unfortunately, construction or pre-construction folks are less likely to try applications, and that is holding them back from getting really good solutions. I'm actually going to give a talk about this on Wednesday. Pre-con folks, it's to their betterment, especially the young ones, if they start adopting more modern solutions. Because if they don't support the startup ecosystem, what you're going to end up being left with is the legacy providers that exist. So whether it's Excel spreadsheets, or it's Trimble's WinEst, or it's CostX, or it's Sage, or it's BeckDestiny, these old legacy desktop tools, that's what's on the market today. And then you have these modern cloud applications, but if you don't support them, how viable will they be is TBD, or you're going to get Autodesk. And we can talk about Autodesk's vision of the world, which is the other fundamental problem with pre-con. So this is a much broader topic, but the fundamental problem with pre-con is we design projects we cannot afford. And what I mean by that is I absolutely think that instead of us designing then pricing, we should price then design.
Okay.
And so we have to completely role reverse how owners go about thinking about projects. They should talk to builders who know what projects will cost in order to understand better their pricing options to go out and then design a project that will meet their budget. This will compress pre-construction, it'll mean less value engineering, and it'll be more likely that projects that go through pre-con actually take place and materialize. So that is, at a high level, the biggest problem with pre-con today is that we have people designing projects that are not feasible, and we spend resources for no reason making them feasible. Where very early on, the builders can advise you on what is feasible and what's not based upon what you can afford. And so that paradigm is something that we're trying to change with EDIPHI.
How many projects go through pre-construction but never get built? Like percentage, based on what you think?
I think I would not be able to estimate that because it's anytime there's an idea and someone calls for a pricing, that's essentially a project that could have materialized but didn't. So it's substantial. How many projects are delayed and take forever and spend 5 years in pre-con? It's substantial. It's an unbelievably huge number.
So this isn't your first company. You're the founder of Building Connected, which was acquired by Autodesk. Now that you're back in round number 2 for construction technology, why are you interested in pre-construction?
Well, Building Connected is really a pre-con tool. So I was fortunate enough to build the most used bid management service and qualification service in construction across the US and Canada, and it's actually gone international. And why was it successful? One, because we realized that maintaining a static contact database of subcontractors was just downright stupid. And then 2, we built the most intuitive application ever seen. If you talk to anyone, it's the easiest tool in construction to use. There's almost no training at all. We would do demos and have people bidding out work that day. So we made it really, really easy. And when I joined Autodesk, I flat out told them, you should give me the resources to continue down this path. So when you invite someone to bid, you don't just want to compare that bid against the other subcontractors. You also want to compare that bid against what did you estimate for that scope of work. Because it's very important that general contractors understand how good they are at estimating versus what the market's actually going to tell them, because that's a data point that can help qualify them as a GC to their client. And Autodesk wasn't going to go down that path. So yeah, I thought it would be a whole lot better to just go out and build it. You know, Autodesk is starting to go down that path now. And I was just at AU and saw their new estimating tool. And I know the people that are working on it, and it's just years away. The development cycle at Autodesk is very, very slow. Anyone who's ever dealt with Autodesk would know that. But more fundamentally, we are completely, Autodesk's vision of pre-construction is completely misaligned with what I just stated. So if you watched Andrew's keynote, this is something I'll talk about actually at a conference this week. He actually starts in talking about design, and he starts talking about AI and generative design. And then all of a sudden you see him doing a demo where he's moving a building around. And then all of a sudden it's extracting quantities and then there's a price. In no pre-construction process, do you just start moving sizes of buildings around arbitrarily and making these dramatic changes
without cost
implication?
Otherwise,
it was an insane demo. But that's Autodesk's vision, is everything is design, you design it to the T and then you price it. And to not understand that cost dramatically affects what you do design, what you should even consider, is crazy town.
So they're engineering and architecture focused, not construction focused or economics focused.
They are what they are. They don't have a broader vision to actually improve the industry. And so my position is that if builders want a better pre-con process, they should start looking to the startup community who can actually provide them meaningful changes. And one of those companies is EDIPHI, but there's a bunch of them. I see, test out all the startups. Build a process into your pre-con team that allows you to vet these tools. If you're not doing that, like, come on, everyone has time to tinker around. You people have some time. There's some time.
What are some startups that you are interested in that's not EDIPHI? Like, what are some startups that you think are making a big impact right now?
So I love everything going on with supply chain. That's one of the areas that I think we can drastically improve. So I just did an interview with Maria at Kojo. Congratulations to her. Build vision. I like the idea of improving the sourcing, especially for large equipment. So those are very, very interesting to me. I'm less bullish on the 2D quantification world. Like, I actually think it's kind of silly that people are hyping this up, because at the end of the day, extracting quantities from two-dimensional drawings is going to be off-the-shelf software. You could essentially in 2 years, you'll be able to drop it into ChatGPT and do a better quantity takeoff than any of the tools are going to be able to create on their own. So don't really care about that stuff. I do like some of the conceptual modeling tools, which are trying to incorporate costs as they're going through the conceptual modeling tools. So I think it's TestFit and Arcool.
Yes, Arcool and TestFit.
There's a few others.
There's Motif, I think, right?
They're way too Autodesk heavy. They're going to build a design-centric monstrosity. It's not going to be good. And I don't care if I'm quoted on that.
That's fine. That's fine. So Who are the typical users of EDIPHI?
Pre-construction department. So we start with working with the estimators, and then you'll have pre-con folks, and then because we support general conditions and general requirements, all of a sudden your ops folks are getting in there. Hey, what's my staffing plan looking like? Okay, what crews do I have? You know, and those types of things. And then because we support the contracting process, you can get some PMs and some engineers that are taking that budget and trying to actually buy out the project and award it to subs. So we really actually, while we're quote unquote a pre-con tool, pre-con today is not just estimators. Pre-con today should incorporate your project management team. One of the biggest risks every project has is that handover from the pre-con team who does all this work, and then they just, you know, shove it over a fence or throw it over a fence and go, hey, ops, go do it. And one of the reasons that exists is because desktop tools that they currently use are not in the cloud. They can't even access them.
They can't share the information.
They can't share the information.
They just print you out like a PDF.
Yeah, they print you out a PDF. They can't like go in there, like review this.
They can't explain their assumptions.
No.
It's like, why is the cost so much? I don't know.
Yeah.
And everybody has a secret way of creating formulas to get their cost, because you have 5 estimators. They have 5 ways of getting to the cost. And sometimes they have like a secret formula that they add in.
But most of the secret formulas, at the end of the day, are based upon parametric inputs.
Exactly.
And what we're trying to do is actually codify. So we call them side sheets. Everyone has this side sheet. They're running these calculations. We are trying to replicate everything you could hope for in a side sheet right in EDIPHI. So at least when you create this formula and you're referencing some parametric data point, you know where that data point comes from because it's built into the estimating
So
software.
it's either linear feet or square feet or actually the actual item. So you start with
because you could have multiple
a square feet,
references.
and then over time you actually change it to getting the actual quantities.
Yeah.
And you really want real quantities for estimating.
Yeah.
So what's your vision for this space in the next 5 years? What do you think is going to happen in the next 5 years?
So in the next 5 years, I think construction is going to realize this. If every project was on a spectrum between form, so all I care about is the aesthetics of the project. Like you're talking about building the Cleef Tower in Dubai. All they care about is like, I don't care about money. And then if over here, it's like function. Like all I care about is building a storage unit. So lowest cost possible. So if it's lowest cost possible, then you should, design doesn't really matter. It's just like make it this objective. And then if it's all, we don't care about cost, cool, start with design first. But as soon as we realize most projects in that spectrum are center over here, they care about reaching the objectives of the function, then we should start with, and they care about cost, we should start with understanding the cost before we start building designs. So I would love to see pre-con actually come in and really understand cost, not from a cost consultant's perspective. And for all the GCs that listen, they're always wrong. And for all the cost consultants, I'm sure you're the good ones, and the other cost consultants are wrong. But they're wildly off all the time.
So you started working as a project engineer and project manager at a local general contractor. What compelled you to start a company?
So I actually worked for 3 different GCs in 6 years, just 1 year at Bechtel, so not a local one. They wanted to send me to Libya. Then I went to Rudolph and Sludden, which is owned by Tudor Perini. I did a $80 million medical office building, worked on City Center in Las Vegas, which was the largest privately funded project in America at the time. And then I did work for XL Construction, which is a regional player in the Bay Area. In circa 2011, I was living in Palo Alto. And if you lived in Palo Alto at that point in time, you couldn't help but be like around the startup scene. And enterprise software, the cloud, and SaaS were these huge raves. And I was looking at the tools that we were using, and I'm like, these are awful. They were all awful. But I also realized that just because you can build a cloud application doesn't mean that you're going to be that successful. You have to figure out something that is universal, something, if you want to build a venture capital funded something that can scale to thousands and tens of thousands of businesses. And it just took me a while to figure out the thesis. But once I figured out something that was true for every general contractor, that allowed me to start building Connected.
Do you think there's too many or not enough construction technology startups today?
I tend to think that there's probably too many. I get now too many people. Well, I guess by too many, do I mean, is there a lot of white noise? Yes, there is. I guess I wouldn't say there's too many. I like the fact that many are trying and many will fail, because at least that's better than too few.
Okay.
And if there's not enough people jumping in, that means construction's on its way down. So the fact that there's this many companies and seem to be getting capital, that's a good thing for the overall ecosystem. But the truth is, there is a lot of very, very bad companies out there that have some capital and will probably go bust here in the next 12 to 24 months.
Okay. I mean, it's fair, right? Because a lot of them are solving the same problems. And maybe the problems that they're solving is too shallow. I would say there's not enough people that are solving the really deep problems.
Yeah.
And they don't have the actual construction experience to solve it.
I agree with that entirely. And it is fine with starting with an acute problem. So starting with an acute problem can sometimes be good. It gives you a wedge into a business, but you have to have a plan long term that you're not just an acute problem, but you're working towards a larger, enterprise workflow sort of deployment. Otherwise, you're just not going to ever be a really large company.
But you also have to have the domain experience. You have to have that 5 to 10 years in the world, because construction is not logical. All the problems that happens on the job site, if you explain to someone that's not in construction, they're like, no, that's not real. But
I completely agree with that. There's a lot of companies that are founded by, the founders have not been from the industry. They might claim, oh, my uncle was this, and it's a complete bullshit excuse. And then they talk to like 3 GCs. They get a false signal of this is a problem systemic to every single builder. They work on something, and then there's no scaling plans.
Yeah.
But they went to MIT, Stanford, or whatever, and so they raised some capital from some VCs that don't know any better. They think they're experts because they remodeled a house, and then this cyclical sort of funding flywheel takes place.
But it's pretty easy to get your first 5 customers in construction technology.
It's very easy.
The hard thing is getting your 20th customer. The difference between the 5th
Or
and the
your
20th,
1,000th.
your thousands, right? Maybe the first 20 might be easy because people are just, I'm willing to try it out. I'm willing to give you your 20 grand to test your product out. If it doesn't work, we're fine.
I mean, honestly, if you can't get 20 customers in your local city, there's a big problem.
But the problem is always the scaling problem. Does this actually solve the problem that universally people have?
Yeah.
What role do you think AI has for estimating? And are you working on some AI applications with EDIPHI?
We are. So I kind of already talked about 2D quantification. I actually think that 2D quantification is not exciting. It will be something that comes with any ChatGPT model. The image recognition, machine learning, and LLMs are all getting incorporated so that they can do all this.
So you can get all your quantities, your counts. You can get like how many bathrooms you have.
They're going to be
how
able to
many
do
linear
all of that.
feet. Yeah.
The more exciting thing is the relationship between whatever has been designed and the actual cost.
Yeah.
But so what our approach will be first, as people begin estimating using EDIPHI, is helping them understand where the risk of that estimate lies. Because if you talk to any estimator, not a single estimator that's been doing it has never not made a mistake. And most chief estimators, they're not actually building the entire estimate. They're reviewing that estimate. What they're reviewing for is what didn't we leave? What didn't we catch? What's the gap?
That's right.
And so that's where language models can be super powerful. And language models are very good at reviewing large data sets. Let's just say you're a company as large as our enterprise customer here, DPR. They're going to generate tens of thousands of estimates. And it's very good at determining relationships. So, hey, if I have this quantity of this item in this estimate relative to all my other estimates, I should understand if there's a risk associated, or what other items might I need to complement that in my estimate.
Yes, and then there's also the data, because when you design something in this city, how does this translate to another city like Chicago? With
So there's all sorts of
transformation on the data.
There's all sorts of relationships you can draw on, whether it means to be in San Francisco or what relationships, because it's a Kaiser hospital or it's a different client. The more information you can put in these, the better the models will get. And then, as you're good at assessing risk, and then you're associating these with designs, then you should start, I hate to say it, doing generative estimating, which would be But a lot of people try to leapfrog and go, hey, we're just going to generate everything, and then they just run into problems.
Yes, and then also in this case, when they're using EDIPHI longer term, you can flag if the price per quantity is too low. Or like, hey, you say it's $100, but it's actually at least $500. There's
we can
big
essentially
difference.
do that now. Okay. We just need to do a better job surfacing it.
Getting all the data in. Do your customers want the data to be shared across other companies, or they just want to keep the data within themselves?
So we don't share information from customer to customer. If we ever explored something like that, we have the obligation to tell each customer or give each customer an option if they'd like to play.
To opt in?
Yeah.
So they're going to use their own data. If they want to opt into the pool, they can opt into the pool if you decide to do that.
But you said it yourself. It's actually really hard to compare how different companies think about different buildings.
Oh, they're very different. Even if they build the same things.
Yes.
Right? Their entire workflow is
their coding
totally
structures.
different.
Yeah, it's very challenging.
And it's embedded into their organization.
Exactly.
The price coding is embedded, so you can't change it because then it throws off all your historic.
Well, I mean, I won't mention the company's name, but that's one of the things they promote is that, they have this marketplace of costs that you can benchmark against. Except you have no idea how this project was estimated and what rates they're using. And so like the benchmarks mean nothing. Like even if you could say, hey, show me all the multifamily developments or all the medical office buildings, I actually don't know, all right, what was in this medical office building? What departments were included in that, which will skew the cost per square foot dramatically. If it's a multifamily development, like what extra things? Was there a fitness center? Was there some parking? Was there mixed use retail? Like all of these things adjust the cost per square foot. And so you're never going to have like the context of those projects to use them in a meaningful way. So doing a marketplace of project costs is extremely challenging.
So where do people make mistakes in estimating? Is it quantities? Is it pricing per material, equipment, labor? Kind of where do they, or general conditions, where do they make mistakes?
No, this is the biggest mistake. Actually, most people are pretty good when you have 100% CDs and taking quantities and building an estimate. I mean, it's not that hard. And if that's your sole role, that is not all that differentiated. The best builders are not trying to just get plans and to extract quantities. The best builders are trying to get the projects handed to them as early as possible so that they can influence the design and have meaningful conversations with the clients. So the biggest mistake I actually see is people producing a low fidelity estimate very early in the conceptual phase. I would encourage every estimating and pre-con team to try to put as much detail into the estimate so that qualifies your assumptions as early as possible. That way, when you go through design development and then into construction documents, as the architects detail out things that then change what you are expecting to be in the project, you can explain why quantities and unit costs go up or down to the client. So I see too many conceptual estimates today that, might do a whole entire interior fit out and say it's $500 per square foot. Well, what were you assuming for every individual room of that TI? And you can do that with EDIPHI. And that's the level of estimating that you should be able to do on every single project so that you inform the designers of your assumptions, what's on the walls for ceiling base, what millwork, what flooring tile are you assuming, all of those things.
Right now, do most GCs do continuous estimating, or just estimate in 1 or 2 times in major milestones?
Most GCs are very reactive. They wait until they get the next milestone, then they re-estimate it. And in between those points of time, they're creating some value engineering options to help bring the cost down.
So it's reactive value engineering, not proactive value engineering.
Exactly.
And they don't actually do it all the time. They only do it when in response to being over budget.
That's exactly right.
Okay. So what separates the good GC from the bad GC? Because you work with a lot of them, so you see spectrums. What separates them? And no names.
No, I wouldn't name names. So when I've talked to almost every general contractor in construction, and I think within probably 15 minutes, I can tell if you are excellent or average. And I think excellent general contractors realize that their job isn't taking off quantities from the project. Their job is helping people understand the cost drivers of a project. And their job is giving the client what options they have to flex up or down on costs while still meeting the project objectives. And those ones are actually really looking for tools. But there is a lot of people that are quite lazy in pre-con today and are not looking to differentiate themselves. They are so busy. There's a lot of companies that are really busy, so a lot of stuff's being fed to them. And
there's no competitive pressure to be better.
There's not. A lot of people are making money.
So they're like, oh, I'm making money. Why
I'm
would I
making money.
change?
I must be great. You can make money and not be great.
Yeah, it's a realization, right?
Yeah.
What are some problems with pre-con that you don't see anyone else tackling it right now?
It's a really good question. Well, I actually can't come up with something obvious right now because there's a lot of problems and I see a lot of different companies tackling it. Yeah, I don't have something that I don't think anyone's specifically talking about. So.
Okay, but there's a lot of gaps there, right?
There's a lot of gaps, and I know people are targeting it. Yeah,
but maybe they're not connecting with each other in the data
silo. Like some of the stuff that we should be able to do, like a lot of like the schedule of values is essentially the contract for the project.
Yep.
But within that contract comes like all of these stipulations, qualifications, terms. And like it's completely disjointed. Here's a schedule of values. Getting an owner to sign a contract and a commitment, that's off here. So like the merger of those two things, because the estimate should contain a lot of the data that's going to go into actually executing a contract or a GMP for that project. But that isn't how it happens.
So what should the process look like that it's not happening? Let's say that you can use your imagination saying, okay.
I mean, your imagination is what's our standard contract language, or we'll ingest the owner contract language and say, based upon this project, we recommend you do those things, or maybe we partner with a company like Document Crunch because they're working on some of that. So when I say there's no one working on, people are attacking these things at different angles. I mean, getting to be the source of truth for a project's contract is like because there's so many inputs, is a super hard thing to do.
Do you think the future of this space is going to be like a Procore or an Autodesk or Bluebeam doing everything, or is it going to be a 5 or 10 startups that work on individual areas and then they integrate?
That's a cool question. So I actually don't think that long-term Procore or Autodesk wins all of construction, for a variety of reasons. I think Autodesk is too slow to build and their vision for the future is not great. I think Procore is too slow to build at this point and they have no product leader that is going to bring something new. So they're going to have to buy companies. They're both going to have to buy companies. So they could win through acquisition. They're not going to win through building it internally. But I think the biggest open space is quite intriguing to me. So I watched their podcast and they could very much get into document management and control, which would be a very new competitor for field management. I actually think Trimble with Viewpoint is going to get into project management, and I think that could be a threat. So there's a lot of competing tension. I think what construction needs, though, most, and this gets to that disconnect between pre-con and operations, is we need one source of truth for a project's cost from design all the way through closeout.
And we don't have that.
We don't have a financial system of record.
We just kind of like...
We stop.
At a certain milestone, it just jumps in our system. So the data doesn't
And there's a big tension because you're still doing pre-con, but you're managing it in the field because you've early released these contracts. And so what we need is a source of truth for project financials. That's something I'm particularly excited about, EDIPHI long-term. And whoever can be that source of truth will probably push out everyone else. Then you can have your field apps, you can have other tools for pre-con, but there should be a single source of truth that you can manage projects and you can go through pre-con in one application.
And connecting that to the schedule and to
exactly.
So it's like the schedule, the 3D model, and then the costs. Like these have to, and also the change orders. If you have a change order
going on in the field, that's actually it almost functions the same way as a value engineering in pre-con. And so there's a lot of parallels. And the only difference is you, in project management, you have a budget and a commitment. In pre-con, you have an ever-evolving budget until you lock it in.
So it's like one source of data for the project, and all the apps plug into it, and then the companies take that data and plug it into their own machine learning and also AI. And then
I see
that's the future. That's
well,
kind
I
of
see that's one possible future.
one
Who
possible
knows
future,
what the future
but
will?
we don't know.
We don't know.
Because this industry is too fragmented. So
Yeah, but I think that the industry would be better served if we look, the project needs a financial layer. We probably need one consistent document layer. We could have different field mobile applications to manage things in the field and issues in the field. You can have different tools for pre-con, maybe a workforce planning tool. But like structurally, there has to be a financial layer. We don't have that. No one talks about that.
And we just do a new project from scratch.
Yeah.
So it's as if they didn't learn anything from the last project.
No. And if you have a financial layer, it makes what everyone's looking for in pre-con is to capture 3 critical data points. What did I estimate it for? What did I buy it for? And what did I build it for? And that will help you tell a story to the client the next project.
And it also tells a story to yourself, how good you are at estimating. Because right now, we don't even know how good we are. We're like,
and that's the end result if you actually have a financial layer, is you can more easily tell that story and collect those points.
Okay, so you've been in this industry for quite a while as a GC, a founder. What are some insights that you have that most people are not aware of?
So I want to go in a million different directions. Viewing a tech company is much harder than it appears to be. Competition will say things that aren't true, and you just kind of have to take it. So that's kind of funny. The thing I've learned is don't dwell on the people that are reluctant to adopt software. Move on, because there's enough people that will, and then you can come back to them later. Venture capitalists know nothing about construction, even if they've made an investment before.
Or even if they have a good exit.
Yeah.
I've seen so many people like, oh yeah, we had these 3 startups to be successful. We know what we're doing now. Yeah. A lot of halo effects in this industry, actually.
And don't take a VC and expect them to make introductions. In fact, mostly investment is just about the capital. And so definitely don't take investments because you think that they're going to help in some fashion. I think that your team matters a lot. I actually pay over market rates to have great employees because it makes my life a little easier every single day. The team matters so much. It's important to have fun along the way. I think too often people are taking everything super serious.
Especially at a startup where you try to triple revenue every year, right?
Yeah. Be realistic with yourself. Sometimes you got to know who your business is. And I see some companies that raise capital that just puts their business at substantial risk because they raised it in valuations that they can't warrant. I could think of 5 or 6 companies off the top of my head that are in serious problems because of the amount of capital they raised, the valuation they raised, and they weren't honest with themselves about the real likely outcome of their business.
And their investors believed them when they raised the money. The investors are like, oh, this is a $1 trillion industry. You could definitely become a $2 billion a year business.
I've also played around with AI enough to realize that AI is a tool. It is not a business. And I need to tell probably a person every single day that it is still a tool and it's not a business.
A customer or your team?
No, a new startup founder or a customer or I can't believe some of the conversations I have. Some people have the expectation AI will be everything to everyone ubiquitously all the time. I'm like, that's not true. And maybe in a distant future.
Humans are still underrated.
Yeah.
In this era, you still need people because look at AI, right? ChatGPT, OpenAI. How do they build a model? With engineers.
Yeah.
An engineer that gets paid $1 million to $10 million a year is literally building it. So AI is actually just humans working just on the AI model.
Yeah. It's we are far away from AGI in case people
very far away. Very far. Yeah. We have no idea how far.
Yeah.
So in this industry, a lot of the ways that you get customers is going to events and conferences. Do you find that it's going to change, or this is just how it's going to be for the foreseeable future?
So I actually think that people are going to lean more heavily on events because of what we talked about earlier. Is there is a lot of startups in this space, and I think events allows you to differentiate from the white noise because you get to actually speak to people in real life. So I think that events for any company will play a critical role, but other mechanisms will work fine. You know, I'm on a WhatsApp thread with a lot of founders. One of the founders talked about how he just set up a customer dinner. I would encourage a lot of, if there's new founders out there, like do some like things that you don't necessarily think scales because like, you know, you just might need to look at your funnel metrics and say, actually, I'd rather get 10 quality leads than 100 crap.
Or maybe you just need 10 customers.
Yeah.
Because 10 customers, you can get a seed round with 10 customers, right?
Yeah.
And it's
People are over-indexing. They're like, oh, if I do 1,000 emails and I get an open rate of 2%, and then I get like, God, that sounds awful to me.
So nowadays,
900 and some odd people.
So nowadays, you also invest in companies. So what kind of companies are you looking for, and what kind of advice do you want to tell the seed founders, like the very pre-seed seed founders?
Okay. So when you start investing in startups, especially as a founder, you immediately think about what you would do with that business and that idea. And so then you start writing checks, and then you realize it's not about what you would do with that business, it's about what the founders would do with that business.
And it can be very different.
Very different. So
even in this space, because even though this space is very like, there's not that much difference, but it actually can be very different.
It can be very, very different. So I only really write checks in early stage companies. There's actually like, sometimes it's hard to get in these later stage rounds. I have.
It's also expensive, more expensive in later, because some valuations are like, they don't make sense.
No. So I would say I'm generally not actively looking for anything. If people contact me and there's a deal being structured, I'll take a look at it. I might have conflicts, but let's just say I don't have any conflicts, something comes along the table. At this point in my life, I'm only looking to invest in individuals, and capital has become less of my concern, more about actually just supporting people that I think are really good, and so it's not for an ROI perspective. I don't want to lose money, I'm not saying that, but I just want to support founders that I think are really working hard. They have to be working on something that I think it has a unique insight. But like it's more about like paying forward some of the things that came to me, because like when I was a founder for Building Connected, I was super broke, struggling for years, and you know some people wrote me some checks, and I kind of look for investments where I can write checks in individuals that might otherwise have some hard times raising capital, but we're not talking big checks here now. So you know, but those companies, you know, 10, 20, 50K means a huge world difference.
It's a big difference for that person.
Yes.
What are some mistakes that you made in Building Connected that you are willing to share now that's been so long?
Yes. I allowed the VCs to push me into growing revenue faster, and we grew revenue extremely fast. I actually wish we had not done that, because the byproduct was our burn profile was higher than it needed to be. We could have grown. You know, we were doing the, what is it, double, triple. We were on that path.
You mean triple, double, double?
Triple. What? Yeah, we tripled. We tripled, then doubled.
So you follow exactly as the playbook.
We got acquired on the first double. We tripled, then doubled.
Wow. So you follow exactly the playbook. We
really did.
Because they said that you start with $1 million of ARR.
Yeah, we did 756 to 3.8 to 10.8 to 22.
So you're like almost exactly as the SaaS business model.
Yeah, but we burned some cash.
So in hindsight, you would have slowed down.
I would have throttled down marketing, and we would have. Let's say we throttled down marketing, and I literally could have saved probably $3 to $5 million per year. Extended runway a whole lot, and instead of triple, we still would have grown at 200%. We would have doubled.
You double,
but then we doubled again, and it would have been fine.
And then you would have stayed independent, maybe not get acquired, maybe.
But we would have controlled our own destiny. And the thing about Building Connected is it still is the industry de facto tool, and Autodesk has done nothing with it. So the product defensibility there is quite substantial. And by this point in time, we would have been doing all of estimating and everything else. Yeah, I was, we're young.
Do you think that they're going to let you build Building Connected at Autodesk? Is that why you came over? Maybe that's one of the reasons.
I thought that they wouldn't put Autodesk people in charge of the product roadmap. Mm-hmm. And then I really didn't think they would put PlanGrid people who had only been at PlanGrid for less than 1 year in charge of the product. But both ended up being true. And no one actually had a strategy for how to build a winning team. Their strategy was, let's replicate Procore, which at the end of the day, I think is a suboptimal way they should have tackled the space. Mm-hmm. And look, I was right, because they're just now, get product parity. It's been 7 years. Mm-hmm. That was far too long to take.
Mm-hmm. So now you're basically planning on integrating some of those features into EDIPHI eventually.
Eventually, yes.
It's a big roadmap now.
It's a big roadmap. We want to win pre-con. If you win pre-con, you get the right to do a whole bunch of stuff.
You can do everything, because everything else follows pre-con.
Everything follows pre-con. And notice what I said. Autodesk thinks that they have the right to win everything because they think design is first. I don't believe that to be true. I think that understanding the owner's requirements and cost is front and center. So if you understand cost, you can be the first point of contact, the first conversation for a project, because you get to tell the designers what to go do. And if you are that tool, then everything else is downstream.
So you're the starting point. You're the origin, like the waterfall, the origin of the water.
And this is the problem I have with tools like Mosaic. They pitch, we're going to be the modern Autodesk, and therefore we get to win everything. It's not true.
Yeah.
The primary driver of every project is what a client can afford. So you price, then you design. You stop designing and then pricing.
And then estimating right now is really broken, because every GC has their own system, and then every owner has their own system. Yeah. And you have a person that has the data entry from one to the other to translate it. Yeah. And they require you to use both systems or multiple when you have the trades in. So they're not even working together.
We can solve all of those things in our cloud application, and we're working on tools, whether you're doing JVs or owners just purchasing our software and enabling all project teams to come in here, and then data federate. We'll be able to provide all of those things in one system.
Do the owners and the trades also use EDIPHI? Or is this mainly GCs right now?
Mainly GCs. However, we have sold to both trades and owners and cost consultants.
What about developers? Do they?
Yeah, developers.
They're interested in getting the cost now? Because the developers are more hands-on. Mm-hmm.
They're doing a lot more pricing exercises. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So we're towards the end of the interview, but in the next 60 seconds, you want to tell the audience 1 or 2 takeaways that you want them to have from this conversation?
I think the biggest takeaway, anyone who watches this, figure out at your company how you're actually going to look at startups and build an adoption plan, a trial plan, and a methodology. Even if nothing comes from it, at least it would, in my opinion, probably be something that a lot of your employees would like. Try out some new stuff and build that culture, because if you have a culture of curiosity, I think your business will eventually grow, because those tend to be the best performers in my experience.
And I agree that these companies are too risk averse. It doesn't cost very much to try something new. When you're a multi-billion-dollar company, you can just put a little bit of money, like $100,000, try this, try that.
It doesn't cost anything.
No. Is there anything that we did not cover today that you want to talk about?
I think this was wonderful. I thought the event was great. Mm-hmm. I think we should do more events like that. This was actually quite fun.
I think CFI is going to do another event in February, but there's going to be more local events. Focus on innovation, VDC, Lean. We had to connect all these people, because we can't have 4 different groups solving different things. We had to bring them together so that they actually can work together.
Cool.
Okay. Well, thank you, Dustin.
Thanks, bud.
Thank you.